Hello and welcome to the latest Customs Clinic videocast brought to you by Customs Manager. I'm Paul Mullins of Sandusky PR and I'm going to be talking to Arne Mielken. I hope I've got your name correct there, Arne. Founder of Customs Manager. And we're going to be talking about trading with the EU now that the UK has left the European market. So hello, Arne.
Hello, nice to see you. Nice to be with you again.
Fantastic. So I guess the aim of the Customs Clinics to offer practical advice and guidance on some of the common problems that exporters and importers face when trading with the EU. Well, and indeed the world, I guess. Options open to you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the binding origin information. Have I got that term correct?
Yeah.
So just recap, what is that, and how would a business qualify for that?
So in the EU, we call it binding origin information, BOI. In the UK, we now have a fancy new name. It's called AOR, Advanced Origin Ruling.
Right.
All the same. So I explained to you, Paul, what originating means. Right now, if we had a discussion on it on a product, you would come potentially to a different conclusion than I as regard the origination of this product, because the rules are set to a certain extent, but there is always some room for interpretation. But that's not good enough for businesses, right? Because you may do your best to determine origin. But what if the customs authorities in Finland, Sweden, or whichever other country don't agree? That could mean that if you could get into the spiral of audits, of investigations, and of invalidation of claims of origin and reduced duty, and therefore have to pay back. That can be millions.
Wow.
Because they can assess it 3 to 5 years back. So imagine you've saved duty of hundreds of thousands every year. Now it's being clawed back, it's being claimed back. So to avoid that, you get a BOI or an AOR, and that is a legal ruling by the authorities to confirm what the origin is. So you can rely on that. In fact, you have to rely on that. And then that gives you legal certainty that you can legitimately bring this in for a 0% rate, and nobody can say that this is not in line with the law because you have this BOI or AOR. So it's a really good tool. It's free. The government gives this out for free, but it requires an application process. It requires the government to certify that you meet these rules of origin, and that is a bit of red tape and administrative costs, I would say. And of course, if they do not rule in the way you think they should rule, then you have achieved the opposite, right? Then you have a confirmation that you do not meet the rules, and then you're out of a duty benefit here.
Okay.
So it's a good thing, but again, it needs to be thought through and not just wildly applied for.
Okay. No, thanks for that, Arne. And in terms of sources of help or guides or tools to help businesses with rules of origin, I mean, obviously they can come to your good self for expert advice and guidance, but are there any guides or tools out there that you could recommend?
So obviously the government is quite keen on establishing guidance. So if you take the UK, there is go to Gov UK. I mean, the amount of information on origin is staggering. If you go to the EU site and you go EU Commission origin, you Google that, you will find quite a lot of guidance and information. And then if you're in the EU and you want to read this in German or in French or in Spanish, then there's also guidance on the national customs websites. The challenge with that is, of course, that it's too much. There's so much information everywhere. The question is, how do you make sense of it, and how do you make sense of it for your business? Right? You can't spend the day reading news pages and and updates, you need to speak to someone. And what my clients have appreciated is the opportunity to do what we do right now. So an informal session where we sit together, have a bit of a coffee or a tea, and just talk about it, right? Talk about whatever is your project, whatever is your interest. And so this is, this customs clinic idea we're doing here. We offer our clients in a relaxed atmosphere to talk about anything in global trade and customs, and give some ideas and thoughts on what all this knowledge means for them.
Yeah, and hopefully by watching the customs clinics, areas such as rules of origin, which are fiendishly complicated, as we've discussed, we're trying to demystify that for businesses. Just because we're coming to the end now of our videocast currently. So is there any other advice, anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to mention?
I think once we got over, I understand right now everybody's focused on compliance and meeting these new rules. But once this kind of settles and we kind of got to the grips with it, let's have a look at, as we diversify and export more, where are trade agreements outside the EU and the UK that we could leverage? Are we dealing with Canada? Are we dealing with Turkey? Are we doing the Mediterranean? Are we doing Japan? Are we doing South Korea? All of these areas have trade agreements, probably with the UK and or the EU. And we need to make sure that once we got the zero rate with our neighbors, we get the zero rate with further afield. We have a real opportunity here because we're learning rules of origin in and out. We are getting better at it. We are understanding it. We are getting the documents ready. We do all of that. But now let's go and take this global if we can. Let's go and see if there are trade agreements we can leverage abroad, further afield, and really optimize our supply chain from a duty perspective, and really only pay when it's due, because after all, that will make it easier, that will make it less paperwork, that will make it more cost effective, and that ensures that our going global idea is as optimal and as successful as possible.
So once you've done rules of origin for trading with our nearest neighbours, then how different are the processes for other countries and other non-EU countries and countries where we've got trade agreements? I mean, once you've done one, is it easy then to fill out the or comply with the rules of origin for other countries, or do they all have completely different processes for doing that?
They don't and they do.
Right.
So devil in the detail. The fundamental aspects of it are similar because there is a base rule called the World Trade Organization, and based on the agreements of the World Trade Organizations, we have a standard by which we create rules of origin and trade agreements. So there are similarities, and it is worthwhile verifying if we can meet the rules of origin under separate agreements. Now, again, you need to be smart and look at this and analyze it and try to find the common elements. But there are ways where you can quite quickly establish whether you can meet rules of origin in other trade agreements as well. They're not fundamentally different. They're just written in a different way, and they might have nuances that are different. Some parts may apply, some other parts may not apply. Right. So you do have to analyze them on a regulation or agreement by agreement basis. But the fundamental concepts of what is originating are the same. So I guess the message is, don't be scared, don't be afraid, let's have a go. What's the worst that can happen? You could save some money.
Sounds good to me. And saving money is what it's all about, I guess. And probably a good note to end on there, Arne, for this Customs Clinic videocast. So thanks once again for all your expertise. Hopefully we've taken some of the mystery and confusion out of rules of origin. And yeah, so to everyone watching, be sure to tune in for to the next Customs Clinic. And thanks, Arne, once again.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.